What's your plan for tomorrow? Are you a leader or will you follow? Are you a fighter or will you cower? It's our time to take back the power. What's your plan for tomorrow? Are you a leader or will you follow? Are you a fighter or will you cower? It's our time to take back the power. What you gonna do when they show up in
Hello, this is Matt Bergman, and you are listening to the Punk Rock Libertarians Podcast, Episode 7. I am here with Jeff Siegel and Dan Reed. How's it going, guys?
Hey, Lou.
Hey.
Hey.
This is my buddy Dan Reed. We grew up together. We were talking earlier about how we met in Arby's bathroom.
Oh, yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, you guys were boyhood chums?
Chums?
Chums.
Actually, we met at...
You don't use that
As
phrase?
in shark food?
Does anybody use that phrase?
We met at, actually, it was my first real job out of college.
Yes, was mine. Answering
Okay.
telephones.
Yeah, we were answering telephones for a financial publishing company,
Sweet. What was the name of that publishing company?
Agora.
Agora.
And we used to... I think it was pretty much like the week ended for us on Wednesday night, because pretty much Thursday and Fridays when we started hitting the bars. And everyone come in on Thursday and Friday morning fucking hungover.
AK-47, man. You know what that is?
Yeah. We had some crazy people working there. You think about like all the people that would call this company, these hardcore investors, and they'd call up, hey, I'm trying to invest in this stock, and I need some information, and we're just a bunch of fucking 24-year-old douchebags like laughing at people. Yeah, it's great. Talk to you later. Bye.
We were all hungover, and with the SEC rules the way they are now, I mean, my God, the amount of rules we must have broken just telling people how to do stuff like buy stocks when we had no idea. We were wearing the same clothes for 4 days a week.
This is the thing that people don't get about customer service. When you call customer service, first of all, never be a dick, because we have all your information, and I particularly remember one guy that we worked with would take the names and addresses of people down that were assholes to him, and he would send them all kinds of shit in the mail. The best one was he would make up these kiddie porn packs, and have like these it was like a fake magazine, and then he would put the name of the person on there, but then address it to the person's neighbor. So like the neighbor would get this packet with his neighbor's name on it, and you open it up and it's a bunch of kiddie porn.
Was this BH or KT?
This is the KT.
Well, that explains a lot. Yeah, he was out there.
It was a friend of ours, a crazy Malaysian, chain smoking Malaysian, who lived with he had a lot of rats in his house.
But you know what? You remember when they incentivized the sales? At the end of the week, they would go through it was inbound stuff, and they wanted you to try and push a couple of the products, and they would give you certain bonuses at certain points. And this crazy Malaysian guy, it was like, how many did you sell? Four. Crazy Malaysian guy, 29. I mean,
he was a capitalist, man.
he was an absolute capitalist, and that's what was awesome about him.
That he was just a lot of fun when he was drunk. So, Matt, Dan actually, you remember the riots a few weeks ago? Dan was actually right in really close to the heart of that. He was right in the line of fire, if you will.
Yeah.
That's something that I figured we could talk about on punk rock libertarianism. Was
It's punk rock libertarians, dude.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Not
is
like
wrong
punk rock
with you?
libertarianism, dude.
okay.
Why would you disgrace us like that, dude?
Don't you know that, dude? We're fucking.
You said that
huge
you
in
listened to
Kenya.
all the episodes 5 times.
and off.
That's what you said, dude. That's what you said. That's
how
our
many-
criteria for being a guest host.
Hey, do you realize how many people would fucking pay money to sit in the seat you're sitting in right now?
Well, you're
Pay
not
good
paying
money,
me
dude.
anything.
Good money.
Dude.
Fucking Kanye was trying to get on this shit.
Just because Jeff Siegel gives the best HJs.
That's how we roll.
Shit.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Dan, but go ahead, please.
No,
Enlighten us.
I'm curious. As a libertarian, I've certainly sent around, oh my God, check out this cop over abuse, check out this, no knock warrant, all those stories about that kind of stuff. And I believe that. But I guess as I was sitting there watching the rioting start to unfold, and the origin of it was over at Mondawmin Mall, which wasn't far from where I live. And they were talking about chasing some of the rioters into the park that separated my house from where the rioting was happening.
Which park is that?
Druid Hill Park.
Cool.
Do
Do you ever go to Mondawmin?
Yeah.
to like hang out and shit?
Hang out and I fucking ride my skateboard there and shit. No, we shop there. But I guess my point is,
Did you use to skateboard or not?
Not very well, but a little bit. I mean,
well, that was me. That was me too.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I was pretty good. But I did it forever. I totally fucking enjoyed it. I still to this day.
could you still do it?
Oh, I'm very confident that I could, but I need to get on it to like see. I'm kind of scared though. Like it's like, what if I like break a bone? Even though I've never broken a bone, and so it doesn't seem like I'm very prone to break bones.
Dude, how old are you?
Fucking 34.
Okay.
There's a guy I work with. He's 46 years old, and he rides a skateboard every day.
46 sucking dicks.
So I got that to look forward to.
So he rides a skateboard to work every day?
No, he doesn't ride to work every day, but when he goes home, he rides it. He rides a
after
skateboard
work every day.
Or like sometimes during the weekends, he'll take it like on the garages, the parking garages, and ride down the slopes.
Is he in Hamden?
No, he actually lives out in the county, but he works downtown.
No, I know a dude at my local watering hole, and yeah, he was doing it in his mid 40s. So and he would go to like fucking skate parks out of state and shit, you know, fucking yeah. He's like fucking. I don't know. It's people like him that like inspire me to like want to ride again. Because I mean, it's just so much fun, you know.
Yeah,
you got to keep doing that shit though, because falling at this point, I mean, you no longer bounce up, and your injuries just hang around a little bit longer and a little bit longer the older you get.
And I'm so skeptical of that because it's like the last time I've skateboarded, it was just like so easy and stuff. So I kind of feel like I could still do it, but I don't know.
It's not the boarding; it's the falling that catches up with you.
Well, one thing with me, my biggest drawback is like I don't know. Jeff, did you skateboard? Or okay, so I'm sorry. Okay, a little blazed. Okay, so, like all right, so it's basically like I had this skateboard. And like I was skateboarding in like the early to even late 90s. And like for like a long time I always had like, I had a few skateboards. But what I would do is like I had these wheels, these Powell Peralta wheels that I got from my cousin. And my cousin, he was like 5 years older than me, so he was skating in the like mid to late 80s. And these wheels were so fucking awesome. And if you remember in the early 90s, like all the wheels were like really fucking small. And they were getting like obscenely small for a while. And so I had these big Powell wheels that they didn't make anymore. So and I just thought that they were so awesome because you could get so much more speed. I mean, you could ride over larger rocks, you know?
Right. Those are the ones I use, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like the bigger wheels, you know? And then I think skateboarding even went back to semi-larger wheels after that period in the 90s when they initially discovered big wheels and everybody had a boner for them, you know?
Oh, dude, we grew up in the 80s when that shit was just... They were just coming off metal and just started getting to plastic, and they wouldn't roll over anything.
Yeah, like I had some 80s wheels that were just really nice, those Powell wheels. And it's like I don't know, if I could track down my skateboard, I think it's like still my parents' house somewhere. But the big bummer about it is it's a Powell deck. It's like the Ripper, and fucking it's Venture trucks, which were cool. And then like these Powell wheels, but the thing is like it's missing one of these Powell wheels, and like I would own a skateboard right now if I knew that I could put those wheels that I love so much on this board.
Dude, you've got the fucking internet. I'm sure you could get multiple versions of it.
I know. Like I should try to find those Powell wheels because I mean I think I'm missing one wheel. And one part of my wheels, I rode them for years and years and years, so they're like worn down. So part of me thinks this is kind of dumb for me to be so, hung up on these wheels because they were really worn down.
So just find 4 other ones.
I could probably get some newer ones, but it's just the sentimental attachment to those specific wheels. It's like I'm just so bummed that I don't have them.
Yeah.
I kind of want to go over there over my parents' place and just like see if I can find the wheels, see if I can find that extra wheel.
How do you do that?
I'm not sure. But yeah, that would be cool.
Anywho.
Okay. Maybe I ran off. I don't know. I thought that was cool.
No, yeah. It's bringing back memories of, I mean, I was never really into tricks or anything. I just used my skateboard to get around,
So which came first? The skateboarding or the music?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, the skateboarding and music were hand in hand, and they were kind of one led you to the other and vice versa.
I mean, I was into the music for skateboarding.
Yeah, I think, Yeah, when I first got into music, I think I was like fucking. When I was a kid, I was really into like the old country shit, like Hank Williams, Johnny Cash, George Jones, Ernest Tubb, Johnny Horton.
So when
like
did you turn onto the dark
country.
path?
Well, first time I heard like rock music that I got into was like fucking Nirvana in '91, and it's like right away it went off like a switch. In my head, like I wanted to get a guitar, I wanted to play music, and I wouldn't say. I mean, I got into that radio band right there. You know, they were a band that I didn't want to like because at that point I didn't care for rock music at all. So I didn't want to like them. I didn't think that I was going to like them, but for some reason I just like heard them right away and fell in love with them. And I wanted to buy a guitar and I wanted to write songs.
That's awesome. You didn't want to like them, but it just happened anyways.
Exactly, because my buddy was like, "Hey, check out this rock band. They're totally awesome." And I was like, "Fuck you, like a dick." Ah. And then, but he put them on, and I didn't want to like them. And right away, like I was probably like headbanging in the first song. You know, it was just fucking ridiculous. I mean, and then like I heard Nirvana. I heard he played Nevermind on cassette. You know, remember those things? Like all the way through, and I was just blown away. I had to make me a copy, and I listened to it like forever. I remember listening to it in my parents' driveway skateboarding.
Yeah.
Was Nirvana associated with the skate scene? I mean, I'm just thinking about when I grew up in the 80s and whatnot. I mean, if you were talking skateboarding and punk rock, I mean, it was just straight suicidal.
Suicidal was always the first one you put on. Man.
Well, yeah, that was in the 80s, but Nirvana didn't hit till 91. They put out their first album, Bleach, in 89, but they didn't hit till 91. I know a lot of people that listened to Nirvana and wore Nirvana shirts and skateboarded. I mean, you probably did too. I mean, or maybe if you're a little bit older, maybe you know you weren't as like in with the little kiddie crowd at that point. You didn't hang out outside of the middle school.
I remember first time I heard
dates, but
heard Nirvana was in my. It was my friend who was kind of my gateway ambassador to all things that weren't just Southern fried rock that I grew up on in Pennsylvania. Because in Pennsylvania, I was in Western Pennsylvania specifically, and you were kind of stuck in a time warp there. I mean, it was Zeppelin and Bad Company and Pink Floyd, but nothing changed. That was all you had. And when you had the one friend who came back from school and he was like, "Dude, listen to this. What the hell is that?" And like you said, didn't want to like it because, you know, you spent all this time and energy building up your rock credibility, learning every, you know, oh, this is a B-side of a Bad Company song. And then suddenly you've got this whole other thing to explore. And you're like, I don't want to like this. You're saying what I used to like is somehow flawed because there's this stuff that's better.
Exactly. Well, when I was growing up too, like I remember thinking of rock music as like 80s glam bands, like guys wearing makeup.
Yeah, and that's I mean, I don't know about Dan, but like that's the stuff I like.
You know,
railed against. I
ODing
fucking
on
hated
drugs.
that shit.
But
you
I mean,
know?
Kurt Cobain OD'd on drugs, so that's not much different.
Well, but that shit like was so popular back in the day, and I could never understand it. It's like, oh, this is metal, and like
I've never been able to get into glam rock.
Well, that's the thing. Like I
could never do glam rock.
To metal. It was like, oh, like listen to Poison. I'm like, dude, like I fucking, you know, Motorhead to me was metal, not Poison.
It's
you know
Nirvana
what I mean?
to me seemed pure, whereas the glam rock seemed like overproduced. But
Well, that's
like,
what it was. It was fucking
Never
pop
mind.
music.
It's
you know?
entirely
That's all it was.
overproduced, but there's some of it that's just really easy to listen to.
Well, there's some stuff back then. I mean, I always thought Def Leppard was a cool band. I liked them.
there's for me.
How about Cinderella?
No.
For me, I was never into the glam rock. I can't name any of it. But,
I'm just
Otherwise-
thinking like Def
excuse me.
Leppard falling into that category, I guess. But like Van Halen, I liked.
Yes, Van Halen was good. You go back and you listen to some of the
I
stuff
can't get
that
into
was-
Van Halen, dude. I've
Really?
never been able to. Yeah, I'm
The
not
old,
gonna.
God, I said the old stuff.
Diver Down in 1984 is fucking great.
Nah,
Van
I mean, like,
Halen
for me, I
1
couldn't get
is-
into it.
You know, if you have you're on an island and you've got 10 albums, Van Halen 1 is definitely one of those albums.
No, I mean I can see why some people like them. I mean, in the way that I can see why some people.
Yeah, that makes you just look condescending.
No.
No. Well, I can see why
No,
you like
no,
them.
but see, I get what you're saying because I can see what you're saying about that. But then you have a
I can
band
see why
like,
people like a lot of music. I mean,
but
it's,
Poison. Okay, it's another band again. Like
Poison-
I don't see how anybody could like them.
Poison. Yeah, I agree. I'm with you on that. Yeah, Poison was one of those bands that kind of really accentuated glam rock, and they were kind of one of those bands like the top three that you think of when it comes to glam rock.
Right.
And they were one of those bands that made me really not want to listen to rock and roll at that
Right.
point, or I mean, I'd say glam rock at that point.
They were
at
so
least.
far out there as far as glam rock goes that they were almost part of what killed it. I mean,
Also, like for me growing up, like I wasn't like a normal kid. Normal kids, like, you know, I feel like were exposed to like the Beatles, like through their whole adolescence and blah blah blah.
Right.
Whereas my parents didn't listen to any of that shit. Like it's basically, you know, my mom listened to like some like Henry Mancini stuff, and it just like, you know, just, I don't know, just like I'd say she was pretty eclectic all the way around, but she wouldn't listen to too much rock music because my parents thought that it was satanic. And,
oh,
like,
did they really? They were the satanic.
Yeah, yeah. And then it's basically like my dad showed me all that like early country stuff, and I love that stuff, and I still love that stuff to this day. Like it's something like I'd probably even put it on a par with punk rock for me. I mean, it's awesome. I was raised on it. It was really cool. But yeah, then when I heard Nirvana, it kind of just like awoken like the other side of my brain or something. I don't know.
No, I get it. I get that.
What you're starting to talk about is what's the actual definition of punk. And I mean, you could say that some of that country stuff, depending on how you define punk, is actually punk.
But
Yeah,
you know,
like-
back in the day, if you would try to define punk, you'd be a poser.
Yo, let's talk about back in the day, yo.
Back in the dude, I'm telling you, back in the day, like if someone said
Back
what
in
kind of
the
music you
day.
listen to, and if you said, "Oh, I listen to punk," they'd be like, "Oh, you're a fucking poser," because you would never, for some weird reason, you could never say what it was you listened to. It was really bizarre. I never really understood that.
Yeah, well, if you were truly into punk, you'd just be gazing down at your shoes and not like talking like that.
I don't know. I was all into punk, and I was all into talking about punk. And it's basically like seriously, like the neighborhood that I grew up in. It's basically like all the kids like for the most part listen to like rap music. And like I was like one of the first kids to get into like rock music with like Nirvana. You know, my one friend showed me that, and then we were the only two kids in the neighborhood that listened to rock music. Everybody else was like, "Oh, this shit's weak."
See, it's
But then-
it's funny you say that because I had a different situation where I was like I was getting into punk and like hardcore stuff, but I also loved metal and I loved hip hop, and like my, you know, quote unquote punk friends would be like, "Oh, I can't believe you listen to that fucking bullshit." I'm like, Motorhead's fucking
You know-
awesome, you know, and like Slayer's awesome and Public Enemy's awesome, you know, and it's.
But then your punk friends, if you mention the hip hop, they'd be like, "Oh, I can't believe you listen to that shit."
That's what I'm
Dude,
saying. That's
I
what I'm saying.
fucking
Like they were
love
the
hip-hop,
ones,
dude.
those were, and the people that.
I fucking love some hip hop.
Dude, the kids I knew that were listening to hip hop, they're the only ones that were ever like, "Oh, that's cool, you like that other stuff." But like the metal kids were like, "Why you listen to hip hop?" And the punk kids were like, "Why you listen to metal?"
Yeah, like I remember when I was in high school, like the metal kids would always just make fun of like how easy the punk rock was to play.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, meanwhile, I was in a guitar class with some of the metal kids, and it's like, dude, I can play better than you. Fuck you.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, it's just I could play better than some of the metal kids. You know,
But that's the thing too. It's like just because you can play fucking crazy scales and shit doesn't mean you're interesting. You know, we fucking when I was in Dog Fashion, we
no, I
we
mean, some
actually
of
did
the
a
most
show.
technical guitar players I've ever known
Fucking-
can't write a fucking 3-chord song.
dude, we fucking
It's, you know, they need guys like me to be in a band with to write the song, and
Right.
then tell them when to start and stop soloing.
the first South by Southwest we ever did. We were booked on the same stage as Yngwie Malmsteen.
Yep. Oh yeah.
And,
Western PA, of course.
Yeah, and
Uh-oh.
we just made fun of him. You know,
Do I smell a boner?
we went up there, and our guitar
Don't make a
player was
mess.
like, he was like trying to like shred like Yngwie, but he couldn't shred, so he was just like, you know, tapping on the fucking neck, like wah, 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 making all this crazy noise. And then afterwards, Yngwie was up on stage, and we went into his dressing room and just started taking his food and shit. And then after that, we got in trouble because we stole his water, and he was really upset about that. Anyway, I don't
Do
know.
you
his
feel
water.
dickish for doing that at this
Fuck
point in your
no,
life?
No, why? I fucking look
Well,
the
because
guy's
he was
a
putting
dude.
himself out there. I mean,
Wait, so like,
you know,
did you
didn't like
took
him,
all of
but
his
he was-
water, or he
was-
saw you drinking one of his waters, and he got really cheap, or what?
What happened? What'd you say?
So like, did you guys take all of his water, or did you?
No,
he
no, we
saw
just
you
took a
drinking
couple because we were
couple?
thirsty. Yeah.
Yeah, did he run out of them or something, or was?
No.
So basically, he was just being a rock and roll
Rock and roll
douche.
dickhead, dude. We
Yeah, part of the reason why I didn't want to get into rock music, and it's like
We-
Nirvana were like the anti like rock hero.
I'm gonna tell you a story. You're gonna love this.
Rock's anti-hero.
We actually did a tour with Mushroom Head and Wasp. And I don't know if you know who Wasp is. It was the old
We
shitty
are sexual
metals band.
perverts.
Yeah. They were
That was
fucking
really what the name meant.
No, I think it
I
was
don't
just
know
like
what it was.
Kiss became Kings in Satan's service.
Or
It was just
whatever
one of
the
those
fuck it was.
rumors that went around and never got.
But his
they were
big-
just wasps.
His
I mean,
Wasp was like their big thing was like sex. So like Blackie Lawless, that was his name, the singer. He would put like pyrotechnics in it, like in his crotch, and it would like shoot like all these sparks out and shit. It was so fucking stupid. So anyway, we ended up doing this tour, and the first night of the tour, the tour manager comes out to us, And he goes, okay, a few rules, guys. And the first time he said a few rules, we're just like, oh, we're going to fuck with you so bad because you just said a few rules. Says, few rules, guys. Nobody talks to Blackie unless Blackie talks to you first. When he comes through the hall, nobody look at him. Just go the other way. I'm like, you mean I can't look at him? No, you cannot look at him. All this bullshit, right? So we're just like, oh, well, we're just going to fuck with you so bad on this tour now because obviously, you know, you're saying this kind of stupid shit. So, oh, yeah, we couldn't say his name. We weren't allowed to say his name on stage. So
Yingve?
No, this is Blackie Lawless.
Blackie
Okay,
Lawless.
sorry. Okay,
So
cool.
it was one night we were playing. I think it was in Philly, and it was his birthday, and we heard it was his birthday. So for his birthday, we got him one of those Mr. Microphone things and a copy of our CD, and we sent it to him as a gift for his birthday. And then this
was dog fashion.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we decided to sing Happy Birthday to him, but I played like a jazzed out version of Happy Birthday on my piano. And we sang Happy Birthday to him, but we couldn't say the word. We couldn't say Blackie. So he goes, "Okay, everybody. So we can't say the name of the singer of the guy's birthday. But here's a hint: it's the opposite of Whitey." And then we sang Happy Birthday to him. But it was just kind of like that whole like he was part of that whole mentality of like the shitty '80s rock band metal guys that are just like so full of their own shit.
I can't believe you toured with Wasp.
Dude, we toured with so many shitty fucking bands. And it was one of those things you're just starting out. So they're like, oh yeah, just go on this tour. And of course, like every fucking person hated us when we went on stage. That was the tour that we played at the House of Blues in Orlando. And they gave us like a deli or like a vegetable tray in our green room. So I don't know, we were really bored that night. So we just started, when we were done our set, we started like throwing the vegetables at Blackie's fans while he was playing. And and one of the security guards, he comes over, he goes, "Hey guys, stop doing that." And we kept, if you're listening to the podcast, you can't see my hands, but we kept throwing the vegetables into the crowd, and we're like, "Stop doing what? What do you want us to stop doing?" And we kept doing it and doing it and doing it. So they made us leave, and then I got a phone call that night from our manager, said that we've been banned from all the House of Blues. Unless I was willing to write an apology letter to the House of Blues for doing that.
Did you write an apology or not?
I wrote my own version of an apology letter, which was
it not accepted?
It was like the Breakfast Club.
It pretty much.
We accept that you see us as
a thief. No, I think it was something along the lines of, I heard you wanted me to write this apology letter. This is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. I'm in a fucking band. It's like, I don't remember what I wrote, but I was just like, I'm not apologizing for anything. And
that sounds a lot like, do you ever hear any of the early stories about the Replacements? When they were just
Are you a fan of the Replacements, dude?
Yes.
Dude, fuck yeah, give me some of that, dude. Oh yeah. Dude. We just boned.
When they were just starting to get big,
Piss me, bro.
The critics were talking about them, and they were going up into New York. And there was the one show where, this is back when Joan Jett was big, but
Joan Jett rules too.
Yeah, she does.
A bunch of the bands showed up to hear these guys.
Those are both bands that I would call punk. Joan Jett and the Replacements. Yeah. It's basically, for me, like, I'm not like a punk Nazi, okay? Like, it's basically like, I think punk is more of an attitude than anything else, man. It's like fucking, I think Johnny Cash is fucking punk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Hank Williams is fucking punk.
Yeah.
And, I think like fucking a lot of rappers are fucking punk.
I can go back even further and say Billie Holiday was punk. If you think about the songs that she wrote and the shit that she said back in the day, talk about not giving a fuck about anything.
Dude, it's like Creedence Clearwater is punk. It's Creedence punk.
Yeah, I mean,
Fortunate Son punk.
Yeah, what is the definition? But it was back when
it's going to be different for different people. For me, it's an attitude.
Yeah. When they were right on the cusp, and there was all bands and critics showing up.
Favorite Replacements album? Go.
Oh, fuck. Tim was the one that I just kind of defaulted to, but
I'm making jack off motions for Tim. It's like for me, I don't know. It's basically like, and when I'm a person that listens to like a lot of fucking punk rock, so it's like for me, Sorry Ma, the first album, is just like fucking so awesome. I don't know if it gets better than that. And it's like fucking Stank, the second record. It's like the recording is fucking like horrible, but like fuck school, fuck my school. It's such an awesome song, dude. It's like, and then the third record, man. The third record, Hootenanny.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, like Color Me Impressed. Like, oh man, but fucking Tim's a great album too, dude. It's
Yeah,
like
it's
they had a lot of fucking good
produced,
albums.
and they were at the point of being able to write really good, complete songs, and they were getting the shit produced correctly and well. But you had like Westerberg back in the early years.
Like correctly, I like the early production. Like that first record for me,
Yeah.
is like I like the production on that more than Tim. You know, I mean, it's going to be fucking subjective.
Yeah.
Different people are going to like different things. But it's like, I like that raw production of the first record. And the second record, while I do deem it listenable, and I do know people that deem it unlistenable, like, I mean, I think it's acceptable.
Unlistenable?
I think
Depends
it's
on your
acceptable.
mood.
Dude, like, seriously, like, I have fucking albums that were recorded on jukeboxes that I've listened to 1,000 times. You know, it's basically like fucking... I don't care, man. If it's good songs, like, it fucking comes through, and you can fucking learn to love it.
I've heard people say that about Big Black's songs about fucking, like, because the recording is really like crunchy, and I think that kind of makes that album. You know, I mean, that doesn't make the album, but it just sounds so perfect to me. That's how it's supposed to sound. But some people are like, how can you listen to that shit? It's so fucking horrible, like, the way they recorded that.
Yeah, I mean, like, for me, there's a lot of stuff that I wouldn't want to hear over. That I wouldn't want to hear, like, produced like really, really heavy or good. But at the same time, you know, you can produce stuff really heavy, and you can just go for that shitty sound, and you can make it happen like so awesome. You know, because sometimes you want that dirty, shitty sound. Like, are you guys familiar with like the Mummies or like any like garage punk bands?
Vaguely.
Yeah, the Mummies, they sound like the shit was recorded like straight out of like 1960 whatever. You know.
It's all like mono kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and they dressed up like mummies, and like for the longest time, they said like fuck CDs on all their records.
Yeah,
and they would only put it out on this. They would put stuff out on this record label called Estrus, and they wouldn't do like any CDs. And eventually, they did a CD, and like people got really fucking pissed.
fucking sell out.
But yeah, these guys would dress up like fucking mummies.
Were they on? Did they do some stuff on Reptilian?
It would not shock me because I know Chris X, and he's big into like fucking Electric Frankenstein and the whole like fucking like garage rock thing, like dirty rock and roll, New Bomb Turks. I love those guys.
We actually shot a dog fashion video at his house like years ago.
At Chris X's house.
Yeah. He's in it. He's
awesome,
in the
man.
video. He's like, he plays Satan in the video.
Yeah, he actually gets on PRL every now and then and likes some stuff.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's really fucking cool for me because like I grew up shopping at his store.
Yeah, me too.
His store to me was every time I would go there was like Christmas. You know.
Yeah.
It was like fucking really cool. And
he was
he's a Satanist, so he'd probably get offended that I'd say that it's like Christmas. So, you know, but you know, the store was like just fucking awesome.
a lot of people like that. That store was like it was like it was like an oasis, you know.
Yeah, it's really cool that store like lives on today with Celebrated Summer Records.
Yeah,
like you know, because Tony Pence, he was working at Reptilian for like a long fucking time, and then he opened up Celebrated Summer, and yeah, I mean, like it's awesome. You know, it carries on the torch. That store is just so badass. You know, and the pricing isn't. I mean, it's like he tries to keep stuff cheap. It's just cheaper than anywhere else that you're gonna find it, and you get a lot of good records coming in there used. Like people love that store.
Dude, he was like, he's like a purist. You know what I mean? He's just like totally like, I respect him just because like you know, he ran this awesome record store for so long. And you can go to so many record stores and people are into music. Fucking Chris could school you on fucking anything, music wise. You know, like that's his fucking life.
Well, dude, Tony's the same fucking way, dude.
Yeah.
Like Tony is like, I remember going to Reptilian when Tony worked there, and he would just like, you know, I would ask him about a band or something, or you know, I'd bring up a band, and then he would tell me like all the bands that they were in prior. And, you know what I mean? Just all this information, and this is like fucking before the internet. It's like, how does this guy know all this stuff? He was like a musical encyclopedia, and he still is. And now he has his own store, and you know, he's carrying on that torch for Baltimore,
right?
Just like an awesome punk record store.
Well, you know, remember
he does it because he loves it.
You remember last month I was telling you about, we were talking about porn. I was talking about April Flores.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, her husband used to do a lot of the covers for the 7 inches that Chris did, like the Dwarves cover. He did that one. He did a bunch of them. Fuck, I can't remember all the ones he did. But I actually knew Chris just through the Reptilian, but I didn't know him personally. And then when I met my buddy Carlos, he was like, "Oh yeah, I do work for Chris," and then Chris to me was like a fucking rock star. So like I got to meet Chris X. I was like, this is fucking awesome,
Totally, man.
It's so weird how like all these people are so connected,
Yeah, dude. It's like fucking. I don't know. It's really cool. It's kind of makes me like love Baltimore. It's just thinking about it. I don't know. I mean, I have a love-hate thing with Baltimore.
I think most
personally.
people do.
Everybody
Yeah.
that is in Baltimore has a love-hate.
I mean,
thing.
I think about leaving all the time, but I'm sorry. I just got a huge Baltimore boner. Like we were just talking about all these awesome things that I fucking.
Can you riot with that boner?
No, I can't riot. I'm
then it's
not
not
about
a
rioting.
Baltimore boner then.
I'm okay. Fair enough. Okay.
we were. I was up in Pittsburgh with my wife, and she had to go somewhere on her own, and she parked the car. She stopped the car and she asked someone for directions. And he's like, well, what you're looking for is down there. You want to make a left and go 2 blocks. But I don't know if that's the kind of area you should be parking in. And he's like, well, where are you coming from? I said, Baltimore. He's like, oh, you're fine. So Baltimore is just kind of this street cred that you carry around with you everywhere you go.
Meanwhile, I'm the biggest pussy in the world.
It doesn't matter. You're from Baltimore, man. You live through shit.
Yeah, I live through shit. I live near Johns Hopkins University, not the hospital. You know what I live through? I live through fucking this dog, fucking 1 o'clock in the morning, it's out barking. You believe that bullshit? How the fuck am I supposed to live like that?
Life's hard, man.
Life is hard. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Sweet.
Hey, so what were we talking about initially?
We started off talking about riots and bullshit, but I don't feel like talking about that anymore.
Okay. Cool.
But you had a good point.
No, but yeah, you did have a good point. I don't feel like we got to it because we just like
because we started talking about skateboards and boners.
We crossed streams on the other topics,
and it's okay to cross streams.
We didn't get to it. The point was I've got a natural kind of anti-police instinct as a libertarian. But push kind of came to shove, and as I was watching this shit unfold and looking over at my wife, and yes, we may or may not have had a firearm nearby and loaded, and yes, all of my neighbors might have had a lot of firearms and shit that you wouldn't expect. But I was still looking to the police, and it was suddenly kind of one of those come to Jesus moments, sort of like, huh, okay, well,
come to Jesus. I mean, it's ironic that you say that. It's like come to statism because it's a religion.
Yeah. But this is one of those things that I was talking about with some of the people when they were talking about the police. And I've got a lot of friends that live out in the suburbs, and their point was always like, oh my gosh, riots are completely justified. There's da-da-da-da. I was like, but you're not living down here, first of all. You're not looking at the helicopters hanging above the horizon of your house. And
I live less than a mile out of the city. I live less than a mile out of the city, and I wouldn't say that the riots were just justified. I would say the rioters were. I also want to make a point to always say, I think it's fucked how the media caused like the media when referring to the rioters refers to them as the protesters.
Right.
Yeah.
No, there's a difference. The rioters are fucking opportunists. I mean, there's nothing noble about that riot. Nothing at all.
Dishonorable opportunists.
Yeah, totally, dude.
And you had a lot of shit come together. You had a lot of different individual random factors came together.
That's not acceptable. To destroy property, to rob, to steal. That's just not acceptable. People want to lump the rioters in with the protesters. All the protesters were not rioting. If you talk to protesters and they don't want to be associated with the rioters.
Right.
I mean, it's almost embarrassing to say that you were a protester because all the protesters get associated with the rioters. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of people that were protesting, and they hate being associated with the rioters.
That shit did happen though, and it you can't just dismiss it offhand because it
wasn't the protesters though. It was the rioters.
No, it wasn't.
It was fucking opportunist. It's a whole different thing. And the really fucked up thing about it is the rioters. They're so much louder than the protesters, so the protesters aren't heard. So I mean, it's almost like the state would. The state would have. Benefit in letting this happen. Just so the rioters could scream louder than the protesters. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
So the protesters weren't heard.
I think Baltimore as a whole got set back 20 years and just got
I agree,
they're
dude. Once again,
knocked
man,
ass
I'm
over
going to
tits.
need
I
you to
mean-
fist me, bro. Yeah, I agree.
That's not what you think just happened.
Yeah, sure. It's not totally.
And
yeah.
what I mean is he stuck his wiener inside me and then his fist.
So yeah, like I mean, it's totally, man. Who knows like how long this is gonna like hurt the Baltimore economy, man? Businesses are gonna be suffering, you know.
I think they've worked so hard to try and bring Baltimore back for so long, and I think in just one fell swoop, we just cost ourselves. I don't know.
Totally.
I
That's
don't think.
that's not
I
cool.
disagree. I think we're the same fucking place we were 2 months ago. I don't
I mean,
think anything
okay, but
is
what about-
different.
We'll
a
see when
year
the
ago.
numbers come out, dude.
A year ago,
What
when
numbers? I mean, how many?
We'll see, dude. I mean, honestly, I hope you're right, dude. I hope you're right.
as do I.
But I mean, there's a lot of people that are, you know, might not want to go downtown right now.
Well, I work downtown, and it's fucking tons.
Yes,
of people
you work
downtown.
gonna take
downtown,
your
you go down
kids
there every
downtown
day.
and go see an Oriole game?
Well, I don't take them downtown to see an Oriole game anyway because I don't
Okay, but
fucking
that's-
feel like going.
Personally,
downtown.
I would at this point, but I guarantee you, it's at the same time. I mean, it's like, I mean, like I've heard recently, like crime is up in the city since the riots. I don't know if it's like, you know, it was like the riots were like so fucking crazy and nobody got into trouble, so people are kind of still in that
They have
spirit.
as of
See, I'm skeptical of that too because I noticed like some of that stuff was coming out of the city hall, and they're saying because a lot of the police are afraid to do anything now, and I'm like, oh, that's fucking convenient. So now we're gonna get back to say, oh, the police got to get hard on crime again. I
They
think it's
have
very
5
convenient how they
homicides
say
this
that.
weekend?
7,
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's you
that's
start
not
to
a
think
small
like,
number.
and that's normal for Baltimore though. That's what I'm saying. It's like
7 over a weekend.
is it a weekend or the week?
It was a weekend.
I didn't know
It
about the
was since
weekend.
Friday. They had 5.
That's a lot. But I mean, again though, it's like it's still pretty close to what we usually have.
Just saying though, that gets back to kind of the point that I was making was the police officers are in an incredibly difficult situation because did you read the David Simon article about what ails Baltimore? It was a fantastic article.
who's David Simon?
David Simon wrote The Wire.
Oh, okay.
If you have not seen The Wire, we need to pause this and come back.
No, like my girlfriend loves it. I've seen a
60
few
hours.
episodes. I've never like fell in love with it though.
It's.
Dude, my
living history.
girlfriend loves it, dude. She has the whole series on like DVD and stuff.
You should definitely watch the series where they legalize.
You should watch the whole thing. I mean, if you're going to live in
Yeah,
Baltimore
yeah.
and love Baltimore, or if you're going to live in Baltimore and hate Baltimore.
Well, see, I don't live in Baltimore and love Baltimore. I have this love-hate thing. And a lot of times it's hate, you know, because I hear about places like fucking New Hampshire that just sound like really fucking cool. And I've been there, and it's really fucking cool. And I have this love affair with New Hampshire.
yeah,
but-
that's true. But what he was saying was
You know,
that
every now and
police
then I
work-
love Baltimore.
police work is incredibly difficult, and it's a very intensive topic that requires a lot of trust and back and forth with the community. And,
Well, we've already boned, so we should be able to have that discussion here.
well, yeah, but it's just right now, it's a lot of the police are having trouble doing that. And
But have they ever really tried?
well, did I live in the poor parts of the city? No, but I think if I'm going to take any of what I saw on The Wire as gospel, they have, and they've gotten pulled back from it, pushed into it, and it's just one of those things that the way our policing has kind of evolved and shaped up. And
Has it
you
really
get into-
evolved, though?
You get into O'Malley and the
Like,
numbers.
How has
and
policing evolved?
it's become very numerically driven, and which is in theory good because it's a statistical analysis, and you are basing decisions on, in theory, rational factors. But that also leads to gaming the system. And then can we do this to juke the numbers? Can we do this? So instead of doing good police work and tracking down and being a part of the community and solving one crime at a time, you are, you know what, we've got this number of stuff. We're going to reclassify this. We're going to do this. This is going to be an easy solve and do this. And there's our police work, as opposed to taking the time to get into the community, do it right, and that kind of thing. Sorry about that.
No, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, we were talking about that on the way over here too. About
Speaking to the microphone, pretend it's Jeff's wiener.
it's a very small microphone. We were talking about when O'Malley was it when he was in governor or mayor? We put all the cameras up in
Oh,
the
yeah.
city. So I guess what'd you say? Like Baltimore is like one of the has more cameras than
I think
pretty much
I
any other
believe
city?
last I heard it was some years ago, but we were second to only London in the
Yeah,
world.
I guess that's what we were saying.
Number of
yeah.
cameras.
In the world,
And
that was under O'Malley's watch.
Okay, and then
no
so
pun intended. Actually, total
O'Malley-
pun intended. No pun intended at first, but I want to take credit for that. O'Malley's watch.
oh, so here we have all
not
this.
O'Malley's march. His band.
Right.
He has a fucking band.
Yeah,
And we're supposed to think that that's cool
that makes him cool, right?
because he has like a fucking Irish band.
yeah, that's kind of cool though.
Yeah.
You think Irish bands are cool?
I do actually.
Like I don't know. Like I dig the drop kicks.
What about
like-
the Pogues?
The Pogues, honestly, I've never gotten into them. I don't have like positive or negative vibes. I've never gotten into them. I feel like maybe I've heard a song here or there.
We've talked to O'Malley at a Pogue show, and he was playing the one time, and he
Did
said,
you get to blow 'em?
No comment.
Okay, go
But
ahead.
he said when they opened for him, and he said, "My biggest honor in life has been to serve as mayor of Baltimore. My second biggest has been to open for Shane McGowan and the Pogues." I was like, "Okay, that I can relate to." That was back when O'Malley was still honest, and you could relate to him. I feel like at this point,
Wait, do you think O'Malley was ever honest? You think
Okay,
one
touche.
time? You think one time he was good and then he turned into a trustworthy politician? Do trustworthy politicians exist? Do unicorns exist?
it's a good question. I mean, I don't think that you can get, as a white Irish guy, I don't think you can get elected mayor of Baltimore unless you're, I'm not going to say honest. Maybe you can say only dishonest, but I don't know. He had to have a certain gravitas
totally, you could probably
to
say
do
that.
that.
well, I mean, he was like Clinton, or Bill Clinton.
That's-
It's just,
I
was
think
very
he is
excellent
totally, man.
example.
Very
You could draw a
charismatic
lot of
guy.
parallels to the two people. I think
Oh fuck yeah! I mean, very charismatic.
they're both charismatic, dude. Exactly. You gotta fist me, bro. Okay.
Oh yeah.
This is like so many fists this episode. This might be because
The fist episode.
This might be because I've been drinking a few, but I mean, I don't know, man.
Or it's because you're with old guys now and you can punch them and be all sore and shit tomorrow.
So haven't been here with old
No,
guys. start
hey,
fisting.
check this out. What if we played letter B one podcast?
If you did what?
Letter B.
Letter B.
Do you know how to play letter B?
Yeah, I think
This
I
would be
do.
really funny, dude.
Are you
Okay.
I'd have
talking
to
about
play
the
it D,
Sesame
though.
Street?
No, it's like anytime somebody says a word that begins with the letter B, you can punch them on the arm until they say letter B.
Oh. Yeah, we used to play that game. You said that
Okay.
falls into this.
Okay,
With
maybe that's a
farting
bad
and
idea.
doorknobs.
Maybe that's a bad idea. Okay.
Anytime you farted, you had to say safety, and people could wail on you until you touched a doorknob.
Totally.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a great
I don't like
game.
this game.
Oh, it's fun and
Fair
horrible.
enough.
Anyways, we were almost touching on high-minded subjects about the similarities between Marty O'Malley and Bill Clinton.
Well, yeah, we're very charismatic, and also, they have I guess part of the charisma, but the way it's almost like they're hypnotists. They kind of look at you and they tell you all these great things, and you kind of like you fall for it. Like not you particularly, but like people generally fall for it. And O'Malley was definitely like that.
But then the irony is that you're going to have O'Malley against the other Clinton, and
Yeah.
at least in the primary.
Hey,
Okay.
wait, I got a question.
Question. Okay. Who charms you more out of like Hillary Clinton or O'Malley? Because Hillary Clinton isn't fucking Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton was charming as a motherfucker. Hillary Clinton to me, she's like a fucking Rottweiler. I don't know.
No, O'Malley's more charismatic. But here, I got a better question. How the fuck is Hillary Clinton a Democrat?
That's a very good question. I mean, of all the candidates on both sides of the aisle, save for maybe, I don't know who's out on the fringe of the Republicans, but she's probably the most hawkish of all of them. As far as NSA, as far as intrusion into your life, she is probably leading the charge. I mean,
Maybe Jeb
other than
Bush.
her name, what you're right.
Wow.
Where is she? on the
Obama
left?
Bush. I mean, I'm sorry, Hillary Bush. Whatever. Does it make a difference?
No, it doesn't. Well, that's what we're saying. I mean, it's just like, how the fuck is she a Democrat when like so many Democrats like supposedly are against all these things that Republicans supposedly stand for? But that's what
It
Hillary
almost
Clinton
pisses
stands
me off
for.
that we're talking about this. It's like, wow, this is like so
That's-
unimportant. Like between those two people, it's just like, wow, they're
right,
so
fuck
fucking
that.
horrible. Yeah.
I won't talk about it anymore.
Well, so
No, I
does-
said almost, but it's almost like it needs to be talked about because it is going to be talked about.
Right.
And it's just so sad that it is going to be talked about. That's just my point.
Well, and and it's really frustrating too. because you're right. Like, it should be talked about. And I feel like every time I hear someone supporting Clinton, especially if it's a woman, it's like, oh, we really need a woman in office. It would be so great to have a woman in office. Okay, yeah, it'd be great to have a woman in office. Why the fuck does it have to be her?
But you can't say that, because if you disagree with that, they're going to say, "Oh,
I don't give a
sexist."
Fuck if I'm okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Sexist,
Yeah, I
whatever.
mean, you can tell them like, okay, well then vote for Sarah Palin.
Yeah.
It's just like fucking if you believe that, you know. It's like I've said a number of times where it's like the only cool thing about Barack Obama becoming president was that he was black. That's the only cool thing. It's
Yeah.
like, well, finally we've elected a black president. You know, aside from that, he's a fucking George Bush 2.0.
So
you know?
then, do we just swallow the pain with Hillary and just get the woman thing out of the way, and then figure in what 2020?
You're all about swallowing, aren't you, Dan?
Again, no comment. Fucker.
So I forewarned you.
I don't know. It'd be interesting if our local boy O'Malley, is there a path to the Democratic nomination on the left of Hillary? Because I think she is vulnerable in a lot of ways, and I think O'Malley is a good enough politician. And I don't mean that I support him. I don't mean that those are good ideas. I just mean a politician. I think there's room on the left that he could get in there and probably do some damage. And suddenly, you know, you ask Maryland people how much, you know, what's the O'Malley support, and he comes in at like 20% favorable.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but you're going to wind up nominating him.
Well, he's got no shot.
But that's the thing. I'm wondering if Hillary is so flawed.
Let me tell you something.
And she doesn't have an ideological base.
I think,
Like you were saying, she's not a Democrat. I think O'Malley could come in and run as a populist Democrat that whole Elizabeth Warren route, and
I think
probably make her uncomfortable.
it's all part of the big. Like, they're all in this together. I don't buy for a second that O'Malley's like, I'm going to take on Clinton, and Bernie said, I'm going to take. No, they're all working this angle together.
Well, I mean, at the same time,
Just
they're
like the
all working
Republicans
their own
do.
careers too. It's like, I mean, they want to get elected. They want to make fucking money.
Yeah, but look, listen. You gotta look at like O'Malley. He's got to know that he's got. I mean, he's not a stupid guy. There's no way he can possibly think that he can win this fucking thing.
He got elected mayor of Baltimore.
No,
as a
I
white
mean,
guy.
that's
that
pretty
takes some
impressive. You might
serious
be
fucking skills.
underestimating the dark
William
side,
Donald
dude.
Schaefer, man, he was mayor for a long time, Baltimore.
Fair point.
I think they all work together. I do. I really think. I think the Democrats, they all work together, and they say, okay, you say this, you do this. It's all a chess game, man. They're 10 steps ahead of everyone that's watching what's going on.
So you think Hillary's going to be the nominee?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Really well.
She's got the war chest, man. She's got the money.
Who would you like to see as the nominee of the Democratic Party?
Nah, fuck if I care. It doesn't really matter.
I mean,
What about Elizabeth Warren
What about Bernie Sanders?
or Bernie Sanders?
I would say, okay, you know what? I agree. I would say Bernie Sanders just because he would bring up some shit that needs to be brought up.
Yeah, but what if he got elected? Would that be?
There's no way he's going to get elected.
Well, okay, so
He's got no fucking shot.
Okay,
I got
so
a better shot at getting elected.
Who would
than
you
Bernie
like to
Sanders.
see as the GOP candidate?
So what if you did Rand Paul with Bernie Sanders?
Yeah, what if you did that? Would you
I would
like
be-
to see that?
I would be very
I would like to
interested
see
in
that. I
seeing
would get a
that.
boner to see that. Not to say that I would vote for either of them, you know.
They
but
would have to drop off the major tickets. I mean, that would have to be a major third-party insurrection.
that would be
kind of
cool.
thing.
That would be like the most difference between like candidates ever.
I would be very
You know, but
interested in that
at the
too.
same time, I feel like both of those guys are pretty genuine in a lot of ways.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
I'd say that they are the most genuine, so it would create the most interesting conversation.
Well, I would say Bernie Sanders is probably more genuine than Rand Paul, but Rand Paul,
You know,
his
I'd
policies
probably
are more
agree with you.
favorable to me.
Let's talk Rand Paul.
I would agree with that, dude. I mean, and I kind of feel like Bernie Sanders is more genuine, but I kind of feel like Ron Paul, to be able to get through the GOP, he's forced to do like a lot of concessions.
Right.
You know.
Well, I get that.
Yeah, for better or
Yeah.
for worse. I mean,
But he's also
Yeah, for
said,
better
like
for
I
worse,
said,
but I mean, for being able to possibly make it there, because I
he's
do
been
think he has
doing
a
that
better
for a
shot
while,
than his
though.
dad.
so then let me
It's
ask you
not
this
new.
question.
Like,
he has
Rand
a better
Paul-
shot than his dad, correct?
Oh yeah,
well,
for
let me
sure,
ask
yeah.
you this question though. I mean,
Okay.
do you? Oh, we're talking Ron Paul. I assume that Ron Paul was somebody that garnered your attention, support, enthusiasm. Does Rand do so in the same way as a libertarian?
No, I mean not at all in the same way, Because like fucking like I was into libertarianism way before I ever knew who the fuck Ron Paul was. But then when I learned who Ron Paul was, I was like, wow, there's like a Republican who's in fucking Congress and he's been elected multiple times and he's saying these things. You know?
So where do you think Rand Paul doesn't, in your mind, live up to his father?
It seems like he makes a lot of concessions to conservatives, to whether to keep being elected, to whether to appeal for more people, whether to not get blackballed out of the primary as his father did.
Mm-hmm.
I
agree with you.
It's basically, I mean, that's why he's more successful than his father politically, but I feel like his father was more successful as far as spreading the message.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost fucking, I'm saying this for the first time here. I'm thinking it for the first time, but it's almost like fucking Ron Paul brought a lot of people to this movement. You know what I'm saying? From both sides of the aisle, more people than ever before. And now Rand Paul is kind of more palatable and he could also get elected. It's almost like it's like this brilliant chess move.
Yeah.
But of course I've stated this before, like my fear is like, what if Rand Paul does get elected and he taints the word libertarian?
Well, I think that word's been tainted enough already. I don't think it really matters.
Has it or has it not? I mean, there's a lot of people hearing about it for the first time and I think it's really fucking cool.
How many people think about libertarianism? What's the first thing they think about?
Dude, honestly,
Most
I
people-
talked to a
think about
dude
it.
yesterday. And I told him about libertarian, and it was like he heard it for the first time. And at the same time,
Right.
he was saying he's for legalizing drugs, and he's pro Second Amendment,
Mm-hmm.
and he wants to get the government out of shit. You know what I mean? It's like he's describing himself as a total libertarian, but it's like he hadn't been familiar with the fucking word.
I get what you're
And
saying.
This guy was a fucking thinker.
I get what you're saying, and I know some people like that as well. But I think that most people that do follow the news and do follow politics, the first thing they think about when they think about libertarians is like, fucking Ted Cruz's and people off to the fucking.
I don't know. Ted Cruz. I think Ron Paul.
No, I'm thinking when I say because if I say something,
That's because
if I say something to somebody like, if I lean towards libertarianism, they're like, then you're a fucking psychopath and you hate everyone and you want everyone to fucking starve. And,
that's because they've been trying to co-opt the word and disarm it. I mean,
Right.
it's the left and the right are both kind of scared of it for different reasons, and they're
Right.
both working to marginalize it and make you look like.
Which
You know,
I would
what
like to
you're
point out.
exactly saying.
Which I would like to point out when the left and the right, because most people I feel like don't want to associate with either the Democrats or either the Republicans. They would rather be labeled as independent because it's almost like embarrassing to be associated with either of those parties because they both
they're
let
all
us down
fucking
so
yahoos.
many times.
Well,
So
I
I feel
agree
like,
with you, but there's-
right now in this point in time, there's more people that identify as independent.
I disagree.
You don't think there's more people that identify as independent than ever before?
Than ever before, yes. But people that'll say, there's a lot of people that'll say, well,
There's a lot of people that don't even fucking vote, dude.
But that's what I'm saying. Like,
You think those people
there-
identify as Democrats or Republicans?
there are
They
people-
don't even fucking show up.
But there are people that are Democrats and Republicans that'll be like, yeah, like I'm more of an independent because I don't really stay to one side. When they get behind that fucking curtain and cast their vote, they vote for their party.
But Democrat,
That's what they fucking
Republican,
always do.
That's fine, but you're no longer voting for anything.
Well, I know
I mean,
that.
we're talking about Hillary being this anti-Democrat, and the last Republican was Bush, who was a huge spending, pro-government.
No, what I'm saying
guy.
is,
But at this point, the laundry's all mixed, and you're just voting for names. I mean, it doesn't matter ideologically. Those two things don't stand for anything.
no, I get that. But Matt was saying he's saying that he thinks that more people are more independent now and don't really want to associate with Democrats and Republicans, and I disagree with that because why else would people keep voting for Democrats and Republicans? And honestly, like, I can talk to you guys because and we can talk about this kind of stuff because I know you're all libertarian or like lean towards libertarianism. But there are a lot of other people in my life that aren't like that at all. They're either Democrats or Republicans, and they'll sit there and agree with me about some shit, but at the end of the day, they're just like, they're still gonna stick with their party because they're so fucking like afraid to move away from it. They're terrified. I mean, they are. I think they're really, really terrified. I agree with you. I think the term libertarianism has been co-opted, and so many people are terrified that they think that it's good. We're gonna be in fucking Atlas Shrugged all of a sudden, and it's like they're just terrified of it.
I don't know. I think for the most part, though, the word libertarian is actually really cool.
I agree with you, but I'm saying
for the most part,
I don't think most people believe that.
Well, I think most people believe that.
You really do?
Yeah, I do. And I think while it is more of a household word than it was, like I said, I was talking to this dude the other day who was like fucking undeniably like libertarian as he's describing his beliefs to me that he feels so passionately about, but he's never even fucking. He's never associated himself with them. Like I'm telling him about the word for the first time.
But so then, are there people that are
never heard of Ron Paul?
Are they
like
embarrassed
he naturally came
to
this
say
conclusion.
They're libertarians based on the shit that's run through the nightly news and whatnot? Like libertarian candidate so and so, Tea Party. I mean, libertarian and Tea Party have both been thrown into the masher and
right.
scummed out as
well. It's like with Tea Party, I think is an entirely different thing. Because I mean, like with Tea Party, like when I first heard about the Tea Party,
like I went to Tea Parties.
Well, I went to their fucking website, and the first time I heard about it, and I was like, wow, this sounds really fucking cool. And there's like all these old people that are normally sitting on their couches watching Fox News or CNN or whatever the fuck they're normally watching, but now they're fucking out on the streets and they're the fucking Tea Party. It's like, wow, this is pretty fucking cool. But as that movement got so big, I feel like it was just co-opted by neocons because they were like, wow, this Tea Party's getting shit done, and it's like nowadays it's like Tea Party, it's just neocon, I mean,
yeah, that's exactly right. And the same thing I think is
I feel like
happening
it was
with
originally
with
initially
the word
it was pretty pure
libertarian. Yes.
And there are people that like fucking, it just goes to show you how cool the word libertarian is. There are people that like fucking, that, you and I or all of us here in this circle, this threesome.
The circle jerk?
This threesome. Yes. We would say are not libertarian at all, that like to describe themselves as libertarian just because it's cool. And that goes for people on the right and the left.
Well, I mean, okay, and then let's just
they
look
think
at
it makes
full
them
circle.
edgy.
I mean, it comes back to what's your definition of libertarian, and it's what's your definition of punk.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways, you can
relative,
tell what it is.
Everything's
you can
relative.
know it when you hear it, but it might not fit under somebody else's version of it. But punk, but libertarian, I mean, the two are kind of similarly difficult to define, but equally kind of, I don't know, impactful terms.
Also, equally about freedom, I would say. I think punk rock is very like fucking.
Yeah.
I think punk rock is like fuck you. It's like punk rock, fuck you. I mean, it's I feel like it's all about freedom. It's all about like doing what you want to do. At the same time, there's that aspect of like if somebody falls down at a show, you pick them up. There's that aspect about community.
But
there's that aspect about
it's
DIY.
voluntary.
Do it your fucking self. And what is more DIY than libertarianism?
And that and I agree with that, and I think that's where some people don't get it. Like I think a lot of people, they talk about libertarianism, and they don't understand that it's like, you can have you made the connection between a show and someone falls down and you pick them up. It's like that idea of community is amongst libertarians that I know, or it's very much a part of it. You guys, we work together to accomplish certain goals in absence of the government. But a lot of people I don't think see it that way. They think, oh, if you're a libertarian, then you're off to yourself, and
if they don't see it that way, we're not doing our fucking job.
We're not. You know what, Matt? You're right. We're not. And I say we as like, I'm not saying us, but like there are too many people in the libertarian movement that are too they embrace the conservatives too much, and they're very arrogant and they're very hostile, and that turns people off.
That's that whole libertarians are trying to get cats to march in a line. I mean,
I would agree with that.
Free-thinking people, and you're trying to get them to organize to do something organized.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. And like, I like to think, what do you think? Like, fucking answer me honestly, dude. Don't like fucking.
I would never lie to you,
with punk rock libertarians.
I will sleep with
you. Punk rock libertarians, like the Facebook page, the website. Do you think we appeal more to the left or the right, or kind of like evenly to both, or what do you think?
Well, I'd have to base it on the comments I see on the Facebook page.
Well,
then you're
don't
going to say
base it
that's
on
going to
the
be to the
comments.
left.
Base it on the articles.
On the articles,
Yeah, I mean, do you think we appeal more to the right or the left?
man, that's
You know,
tough.
right?
Okay, so
I'm gonna be-
just that you said that's tough. That's good because, like,
Yeah, because
you
I
know,
think you're very objective. The stuff that you put on there,
and
I don't
like
think you pick a
ultimately
side.
that's what I go for because like I feel like it's kind of cool if the more people that can relate to it,
right?
if you can hit both sides, it's ultimately I think that's the goal. But at the same time, I think like what you were saying earlier, there's like a lot of people that appeal to it from the right, and they kind of come off as like tad bit dickish, and they might not make people like they might put libertarian as a sour taste in people's mouth.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
But that same thing exists in the left side, where it's going to be, if you're looking to the right, people are going to be like, oh,
No,
libertarians,
yeah.
you want gay marriage? What,
Yeah.
you want polygamy? I mean, do you want any rules? I mean, that's going to appeal to both sides.
Totally,
we just
dude.
kind of, in this room, we have a little bit of a homogenized version of what libertarianism is.
Well, I think libertarians in general, especially when it comes to those running for office, need to get their shit together. Because I was just looking at this thing the other day with the guy that's going to run for the libertarian candidate for mayor in Maryland. There's no website. He's got no fucking website.
Okay, let me.
How
put
do you
this
not
back-
have a website?
Let
and
me
you're
put
not
this
gonna
back
fucking
on you,
run for
Jeffrey.
office?
If there's another beer up there, I'll take one. Let me put it back on you. No more beers. Okay, is there any liquor or alcohol? If you're gonna make me any kind of alcohol drink,
There's some vanilla extract.
but let me put this back on you. Are you registered as a libertarian?
No.
Have you been to the Libertarian Convention in Maryland?
No.
Because it's held in Baltimore City.
Jeff, what
The
are you
people
registered
that-
as?
I'm actually registered as a Democrat.
Okay. Well, the people.
I'm
that-
actually registered as a Republican right now, just to fucking vote for Ron Paul in the 2012 primary.
I never changed over from years ago because I just didn't feel like it. But
Yeah,
I don't think I voted for a Democrat since the first time Obama ran.
My wife and I have gone to the Libertarian State Convention, which is here in Baltimore City, and that's where you wind up with a lot of the candidates, and they're there and they speak. And you're right, the guy who's running for mayor might not have a website, but these are fucking awesome people. I mean,
I'm sure
they'll
they
sit
are.
there and they're doing the best they can, but they're also probably working a side job. They're working a primary job as, the one guy that we know does a car washing business. Gazantaga and his wife, who have both run for governor, have their primary jobs. So I totally get what you're saying. You don't have a fucking website. Who the fuck are you? How can we take you seriously?
No.
At the same
I'm
time,
not
these
saying
are
that.
like-
I'm not saying how can we take you seriously. I'm saying if you want other people outside of the libertarian movement to know who you are and pay attention, then you need to have some kind of presence.
You do, but who's going to give them money? Who's going to?
Dude, how hard is it to set up a website? It's not that expensive to set up a website. You can set up a website for $100. And there's got to be one libertarian out there that would be happy to like donate his or her time to do that if they just reached out.
You could. I just feel like you're putting the critique on them. You're saying you're not trying hard enough in some way, shape, or form. And I've hung out with these people, and they're weird and they're awesome. And
I'm not. Well, I am saying that it's not so much trying hard enough. I'm just saying if you really want to have a shot, then you got to have some good
gotta go all
marketing
in.
presence. And it's not, you don't have to like look, I get that there's not a lot of money and it's a different kettle of fish compared to what the Democrats and Republicans have.
Right.
But again, it's like for me, like a big thing. It seems so basic to have a website and have a Facebook page and have a Twitter page. I mean, and especially if you honestly, I think you're gonna attract more young people in this state if you reach out to them.
It's kind of funny you're talking about this. Lorenzo, I fuck his name up, and he and his wife are both awesome libertarians. Gorzantaga, I believe.
He's the guy that ran for governor, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And he was running for governor, and I had been chatting with him over email, and I was like, dude, you don't have a fucking Wikipedia page. So I said, can you please send me a resume from stuff when you grew up? Thank you. And just job stuff. And I spent, I don't know, an hour or two, and I pulled together like a 3-paragraph Wikipedia entry for him. Mm-hmm. And I signed into Wikipedia, posted it up, and I got a quick hit back saying, this person does not merit consideration. And I replied, he's running for this, he's done this, he's done this. Yes, he does. And they said, we will consider it. And I don't know, a day later, it's like, yeah, your request has been denied. Boom. And he didn't have a Wikipedia page.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's...
But that's a wiki.
Right,
that's a wiki page. I mean, you can still do a Facebook page, a Twitter page, and a website.
You could. It's just, I couldn't have set up a web page for him. I tried to do what I could. I did what I could. It got rejected, and then I had my own life to deal with.
Well, okay, let me ask you this then. Okay, say this guy wants to run for governor or run for mayor, and you want me to vote for you as the next mayor. But how can I really feel confident in your ability to be a good mayor if you can't even set up a web page, if you can't even set up a Twitter page or a Facebook page? I mean, I get that they all have these are not career politicians. They don't have a lot of time. They don't have a lot of resources. But again, it's like in this day and age, it's so fucking easy just to set up a Facebook page.
Yeah. Well,
Okay, dude, why don't you run?
Why don't I run?
Yeah, why don't you run?
Because I'm leaving Maryland next year.
Okay.
Wah,
Okay, fair
wah.
enough. Okay, so
I would be very interested
Maybe I
in
should
running.
be
The
like myself why
Libertarian
I
Party
don't
is
run.
looking for candidates. I mean, at the state convention, they were like, they say out loud. There's like, the state convention is awesome.
I would
They
love
got a
to go.
hodgepodge
I'm on their
of-
fucking. I'm on the Libertarian mailing list. I never get anything from them except for things like, oh, we need to collect money.
Here's a shout out to Bob Johnson, who organizes the Maryland Libertarian Party. He does an
Shout out
awesome
to Johnson's.
job.
So is that separate? Because I'm on the mailing list for the Libertarian Party, but maybe I don't know if I'm on the mailing list for like if there's a Maryland one.
You could be on the porno website that just has a misspelling of libertarians, and you're just dissatisfied with that.
I'm not dissatisfied with my porn.
I don't know. We get their newsletter. I don't know. I'm not trying to get into you're not a libertarian enough, because that's certainly one of the things that we do wrong. But yeah, there are people out there trying. And at the convention, they said, we are looking for candidates, and we don't care if you're running for X or Y. You know, if you want to run for comptroller in the 4th district, we will put the support behind you that we can. And the paper newsletter that we get sent out each, I don't know, maybe it's quarterly. They give you a list of how they're spending their money, and it's not a lot of money, and it's people like,
Right.
you know, us, and my wife was like, why, you know, how did you spend $48 at a bar last night? And then, you know, we're trying to find another $50 to send to the Libertarian Party. So it's tricky.
I tell you, I would actually, I've thought about that in the past. I would love to run for office in that respect. And, you know, if we come back to Maryland, I would consider it. Or if we stay in New York, then maybe if I'm there for a while, I consider it. I would love that. And, you know, I'd love the opportunity to do it because I've gone to these debates before. Like I went to the one, I guess it was a couple of years ago in Hamden when they had the debates. And who was there? What's that guy's name? Elijah Cummings was there, and the senator, his dad was senator. What's his name? The Democrat.
That doesn't narrow it down here.
Well, whatever. They were all there, and it was funny because they were talking and they were presenting their cases. And these guys are like career politicians, and I'm sitting there thinking, I could fucking bury you right now. And the people that were the libertarian candidates had nothing worthwhile to say. They had nothing.
And yeah, that's the other thing, is you wind up getting some of these fringy guys, and you're like, okay,
I know. I'm sitting there. I'm sitting there going, like Elijah Cummings was talking about something about healthcare, and he was I don't even remember specifically what he was, but he was like trying to pull up like these data points and everything, and I'm like, oh my god, I could fucking bury you right now. I could totally fucking do this, and I'm sitting here like I can't say anything. You know, I would love the opportunity.
You gonna run? Can we find you an office?
It's definitely something that I would consider doing.
The question becomes then, how much effort can you put into it? I mean,
No, I mean, totally. And that's a good question. I would have to ask myself because, like, you know, right now I'm working like a full-time job, and then I'm coming home and I'm doing punk rock libertarians. And
so where is it going to do the most good? I mean,
no, I mean, yeah.
and I'm not
totally,
saying this is
to
probably it.
To where is it going to do the most good? You know, honestly, I don't know. I feel like I'm doing pretty much a fair amount of good where I am right now, doing what I'm doing, and I've already got that set up, so I might take that easy road of not
an easy road.
that it is
I
an
mean,
easy
yeah.
road, because I'm like doing this shit all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Like, like it seems like, I've got to plan the podcast every week. It's like, and then there's other stuff I want to do. There's like I'm kind of disappointed that I haven't played music in a while, honestly. But
Not to mention, you got to
don't
go
have a
buy
lot of
those
time.
wheels for the deck.
Yeah, totally. There's that too. Yeah. But like I want to play music, and it's like, could I do all this and try to run? I don't know. That would be interesting. It's something I would have to consider. But if somebody does do it, I mean, that's awesome. I'll support them. I
We
think
can do a
that's
fist
one
bump,
way that,
and if you get back, you've got to run. If we can find an office, you can run. Come on. Fist is in the middle. Who wants to run?
I'm down, man.
I'm not going to leave it to chance like that. I don't know.
If
I would have to think about it, because it's right now. Like I said, I'm so busy between my job and my other job. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like,
Yeah.
and then the idea of maybe trying to scrounge up something musical again.
Yeah.
Because like my band Post Freedom, we've been on hiatus for about 1.5 years now, and I've been doing a lot of punk rock libertarian stuff. I don't know if I have enough time to do another band, but I am thinking I want to play music again. So
You can
Well, it
use
depends
the
where you're
band
coming
to-
from. I mean, I've always kind of had a little bit of desire to get involved in public office.
Oh.
So I mean, I would.
Do you want to be involved in public office, or do you want to just try and get the stupidity out of public?
I don't think that's possible, but I'd like to try
would
to
you
make
do another band again?
Would I do another if I ran for public office?
No, like I'm just curious in general. Like, would you
I don't
do another
think
band again?
I would be interested in doing it if I didn't have to tour, because I don't have enough time to tour anymore.
Yeah, totally. So I mean, something with like limited. I mean, something with not a lot of time.
It'd have to be
practicing here and
very
there.
limited amount of time.
I see
Totally.
where you're going with this.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, man. Because, dude, I'm thinking about starting a band that kind of sounds like early Police type stuff. Like the punk ska and reggae kind of vibe, but like early Police, like a rock type thing.
In your wheelhouse.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
fucking some keyboards in that would be really awesome. Because like, who does keyboards? And I'm thinking about like limited time. Of course, no touring, because I don't have the time for that either, honestly.
Right.
But it'd be cool if we could do.
Maybe let's
something.
talk about it. I mean,
Yeah.
I might be down for that.
That
Yeah.
could be cool. In the very least, you could come over and lay down some keyboard tracks.
Yeah.
And just play on the recordings.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it would be fun. It would be cool. Nobody does anything like that right now. And like early Police, like first record kind of style. But yeah, the songs would sound different. They would be their own. But you know,
Right.
kind of that style.
No, I think that sounds like fun. I'd
Cool.
be down for that.
Do we want to get into when the police jumped the shark? And or was Sting actually the driving force in that band, or
Like-
did Sting just kind of happen into a lot of other talent?
Well, what do you mean by jump the shark? Because like for me, like Synchronicity might even be my favorite album.
Is it really?
I'm saying might even be. Like
There's not a single Police album that I don't like. I think they're all good albums.
To me, Synchronicity is that's when they lost it. And even maybe Ghost in the Machine, you could see it's no, that's not true. But what was it? Lattice de Amor, Regatta de Blanc, Ghost in the Machine. What was the other one I'm missing in there? But they all had a definite kind of, I don't know, the DIY ethos. They had that reggae. They were just a certain thing about them. I feel like when they hit Synchronicity, if we want to go back, and I can contradict myself on the Replacements thing, but Synchronicity was almost overproduced, and it was there was too much money sloshing around inside there.
No, I mean maybe there was. I don't know. For me, like for Synchronicity, that was the first Police record that I ever owned, and I got it for really cheap when like records weren't very popular. I might have paid like $4 for it, and I don't know. I just thought there was a lot of good songs on that record. So I don't know.
There is.
If you're like 10 years older and
There are.
if you're like 10 years older,
There'd
and I don't know if maybe you got into like these songs like sooner, but like before that record and stuff, I could see how you might be upset because they changed their style a little bit or something. I don't know. I mean, I thought it was a good album though, as far as I go.
I listened to it recently and I enjoyed it. What was the big one? The dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, Every Breath You Take.
Yeah, I mean that was the one that I was like, Oh, okay. Like the Police used to be a cool little kind of sort of band off in the corner, and all of a sudden, Every Breath You Take comes out, and it's just like, everybody knows these motherfuckers.
Like
Yeah.
for me,
it's a shitty
style
song.
wise, the first record is like style wise, my favorite is the first record, and So Lonely might even be my favorite Police song ever.
That would
then-
rank in the top 100 songs of all time for me.
Yeah, So Lonely.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck yeah, dude. And then fucking
Fist bump.
yeah, hell yeah, dude. So and then also, dude, fucking I love Beverly Hills Cop. So like fucking Roxanne also makes that record also.
Yeah,
for me.
Roxanne for me jumped the shark. It didn't jump the shark, but it's just gotten too much publicity.
Has it been overplayed? Yes.
Yes.
But I mean, at the same time, I really love Beverly Hills Cop. So like, when
Wow, we've just opened up a whole different broadcast.
Yeah.
Well,
What's with this whole Beverly Hills Cop thing?
I don't know.
it's just a really funny movie, dude. I mean,
That was a great movie.
Yeah, I mean that first movie, dude. Eddie Murphy was total gold. The second wasn't
Gold,
too shabby
Jerry,
either.
gold.
Second wasn't too shabby either. They kind of lost me on the third. I think I heard something about they might be doing a fourth.
Yeah.
I'm kind of interested, but who knows if it'll be good or not.
I saw Eddie Murphy when I was first comedian I ever saw was Eddie Murphy, and it was I guess I was 15 years old.
Did you get to blow him?
No, he was wearing bright red leather outfits though.
Are you talking about like the Raw days?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember I saw him in State College, Pennsylvania, and he was doing his act, and he was doing it, and finally somebody out in the stands, my dad took me to it. I was 15, and so, you couldn't hear swearing in public, movie kind of stuff, but somebody yelled, "What about the faggots?" And he's like, "I'll get to those." And then Eddie had his whole bit about when he pretended to be gay.
Was that the Mr. T thing?
That
Hey,
was-
boy. Look at my cute them tight jeans.
That's exactly what
Come
it
here,
was.
fuck me up the ass.
So
Sorry about
I don't
that.
think we really talked about anything on the list, did we?
No, we didn't. We
That's
didn't talk
okay.
about because like every week when we do the show, we kind of get together like beforehand for a few minutes and we like think about like an outline to like roll through. And yeah, we just kind of went off into tangents.
That's fine.
But yeah, I think it was a fun time. It was a very fun podcast for me. So yeah, until next time, guys. I guess we're gonna wrap it up now. Take it easy.
See ya.
See you guys.
What's your plan for tomorrow? Are you a leader or will you follow? Are you a fighter or will you cower? It's our time to take back the power. What's your plan for tomorrow? Are you a leader or will you follow? Are you a fighter or will you cower? It's our time to take back the power. What you gonna do when they show up in black suits on your street in army boots? And they're to silence you. What you gonna say when they strip your rights away and the tax man makes you pay for every bit of sweat you bet today? We don't need to run and hide. We won't be pushed off to the side. What's your plan for tomorrow? Are you a leader or will you follow? Are you a fighter or will you cower? It's our time to take back the power. What's your plan for tomorrow? Are you a leader or will you follow? Are you a fighter or will you cower? It's our time to take back the power. Who you gonna trust when the judge is so unjust and the jury must discuss? Say you don't look like one of us. Where you gonna turn? Now the court has been adjourned and the lessons that you've learned are not as many as the bridges burn. We don't need to run and hide. We won't be pushed off to the side. What's your plan for tomorrow? Are you a leader or will you follow? Are you a fighter or will you cower? It's our time to take back the power. What's your plan for tomorrow? Are you a leader or will you follow? Are you a fighter or will you cower? time to take back the power.